Today, we'll tell you the story of success which was told by Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs stood before the graduating class, expressing his honor at being present for their commencement at one of the world's finest universities.
Truth be told, I never graduated from college.
He acknowledged that he had never graduated from college, making this moment the closest he had ever been to such an occasion. Rather than delivering a grand speech, he chose to share 3 stories from his life. The first story was about connecting the dots. Jobs recounted how he dropped out of Reed College after 6 months, but continued attending classes informally for another 18 months. His decision to drop out was rooted in events before his birth. His biological mother, a young, unmarried graduate student, had arranged for him to be adopted by a lawyer and his wife. However, they decided at the last moment that they wanted a girl. As a result, another couple on the waiting list received a call asking if they wanted an unexpected baby boy. They accepted without hesitation. His biological mother later discovered that his adoptive mother had never graduated from college, and his adoptive father had not completed high school. She initially refused to sign the adoption papers, but relented when they promised that Jobs would go to college one day. 17 years later, he did go to college, choosing a school nearly as expensive as Stanford. Seeing no clear value in his education and realizing the financial burden on his working-class parents, he decided to drop out, trusting that things would work out. Although the decision was frightening, it allowed him to pursue subjects that truly interested him. One of those subjects was calligraphy. Reed College had some of the best calligraphy instruction in the country, and Jobs became fascinated by typography, learning about typefaces, spacing, and artistic subtleties. At the time, these lessons had no practical application in his life. However, a decade later, when designing the first Macintosh computer, everything he had learned resurfaced. The Mac became the first computer with beautiful typography, inspiring the industry as a whole. Jobs emphasized that one cannot connect the dots looking forward, only in hindsight. He urged the graduates to trust that their experiences, no matter how seemingly disconnected, would shape their future. His second story was about love and loss. Jobs shared that he had been fortunate to discover his passion early in life. He and Steve Wozniak founded Apple in his parents' garage when he was 20. Over 10 years, Apple grew into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. However, after a disagreement with the CEO he had hired, Jobs was forced out of his own company at the age of 30. The public nature of his departure left him feeling devastated, and as though he had failed an entire generation of entrepreneurs. For months, he struggled to find direction, but ultimately realized that he still loved what he did. This realization gave him the strength to start anew. Over the next 5 years, he founded Next, Pixar, and met the woman who would become his wife. Pixar produced the world's first computer-animated feature film, Toy Story, and became the most successful animation studio in the world. Eventually, Apple acquired Next, bringing Jobs back to the company. The technology developed at Next became the foundation of Apple's resurgence. He concluded that being fired from Apple had been the best thing that ever happened to him, as it freed him to enter one of the most creative periods of his life. He encouraged the graduates to find what they loved, as true satisfaction comes from doing meaningful work. His third story was about death. At 17, Jobs read a quote that deeply influenced him. "If you live each day as if it were your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." From that point on, he asked himself every morning whether he would be content with his choices if it were his last day. If the answer was no, too many days in a row, he knew he needed to make a change. A year prior, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Initially, doctors told him it was incurable and that he had only months to live. He spent an entire day believing he was facing death. However, further tests revealed that his cancer was a rare, treatable form, and he underwent successful surgery. Having faced death so closely, he reinforced the importance of prioritizing what truly mattered. He reminded the graduates that time is limited and urged them not to waste it living someone else's life. He cautioned against being trapped by dogma and external opinions, emphasizing the need to follow one's heart and intuition. Jobs ended his speech by recalling the Whole Earth Catalog, a publication that had inspired his generation. The final issue's back cover featured an image of a remote country road with the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was a farewell message that resonated with him, and he passed it on to the graduates as his own parting wish.
Stay hungry, stay foolish.